What a way to open up the year. And you are opening up the year at this table. This is your destiny, And what I love about this image is this person is blindfolded. So it's like she's spinning the wheel out of blind faith. And there are people in line and they have blindfolds on. So it feels like nothing to fear here. It's almost like wherever the wheel lands is where I go. And then we have the moon, card of Pisces, ruler of Cancer. The moon can certainly talk about uncertainties. Again, she's wearing a blindfold. She may not know where she's going. She may not care. It may just be wherever divine is leading me is where I'm going to go. The moon is also very dreamy energy, though. So, although it can talk about uncertainties, but that's really because you can only see as far as the moon allows you to see. Some of you, I feel like, pay attention to your dreams, whether it just be for January or all year long. I feel like you're being reached, some of you, through your dreams. And this may be those who, like, during the day, you're very busy, your mind is busy, and you don't have that quiet time like Mother Mary is asking for. Well, this is when your guides will go to your dreams. So, and sometimes they don't make sense. And this is when I always suggest, like, if you feel like you're getting a lot of dreams, but you're not sure what they're trying to tell you, I would keep what I call a dream journal. And just jot down like what comes to mind and then go back and revisit that, like after you have a few dreams. I bet any money that you will be able to see a pattern. All right. We have the Chariot. Interesting. We have two cards of Cancer. Some of you may be connected to a Cancer. But the Chariot, I love the Chariot mirroring the wheel, right? Getting ready to spin the wheel of your destiny. I feel like you're not putting a lot of restrictions behind it. Like, it feels like you're just kind of free flowing, which feels good, by the way. And the Chariot is a reminder of your unlimited potential. It's the power of your intentions. And I have to say, I feel like 2025, that's all I was doing is trying to get us all ready for this brand new clean slate. Again, we just finished that 9-year cycle, and this year is the beginning of the next 9. So, Cherry is like, what do you want to take along? What do you want to leave behind? It is your intentions that tell the Chariot where to go. That is powerful. Know that, like, your intentions have true power behind them. And just that it's mirroring your wheel, boy, that feels good. That feels good. And I even love the rainbow behind, or not even behind it, beside them. Interesting. I just realized it's like beside them. It's, it makes me feel like it's your guides. It's like follow the rainbow. Follow the rainbow. The one thing the Chariot does need to become unlimited potential is balance. And that is the balance of the light and the shadow within us. The moon speaks about that. I always feel like we need to know our shadow self as well as our light self. We need to know ourself, like inside and out. And then when you set intentions, they just seem to be much more clear. And that's what the universe likes, clear intentions. So, I would say this is asking for you to put those intentions out there. I also feel like for many, it's saying you are headed onto a destined path now. And maybe you don't need to know everything right now. And it makes sense because you're really creating it as you go. And then I feel like the willingness to allow change to happen. But this is you. This is your change. This is something that's going to benefit you, benefit your life, and maybe in others. We'll see. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm trying to think. Do we start with love or money first? Okay. I feel like I can hear you. And I feel like you're saying love, love, love. All right. So that's what we'll do. And we're going to use the Universal Tarot. So when I say love, I mean love of all forms, romantic love, um, love of your family, your friends, your community. But I kind of am looking more about romantic love than anything. But also, whatever wants to come out, I'm happy to receive. Oh, we got two there. All right. Interesting. We have the Four of Swords, healing. And by the way, you see this one sword? Usually you see them lying upon this sword. This sword to me is your own truth. It means that there were things, swords that you needed to heal from, but also the truth of the situation or situations. Like, what did I learn from this? And this is not to put the blame on you at all. Matter of fact, look at Mother Mary peeping through the window, like keeping an eye on you. And then another 4, 44. I don't know why I said it like that, but 44. First of all, 4, a very steady number, a very grounded number. But 2 4s. Well, that adds up to an 8. And that might be a new beginning. 8 is the number of infinity. We'll see if we get it. But already, like me just adding it up, I felt like I was meant to. So the 4 of Pentacles, that talks about your foundation. And for some of you, that's exactly what you're doing. You're healing, the foundation of you. But you do have the healing first. So I feel like I feel like this is what you've been through. This is what you have been going through. And now I feel you're coming out of that. Doesn't mean I'm completely healed. But sometimes we have to keep moving forward even if we're still a little broken. 4 of Pentacles, it's a great energy of your foundation. But I do want to tell you, it can also signify holding on to one's opinions sometimes too tightly. In other words, it's about being flexible, being open to maybe hearing what someone else has to say before I form an opinion. All right, let's keep going. We have Page of Pentacles. I already know what that is. We'll come back to that. We have the 4 of Cups. We have the beautiful Knight of Pentacles. And let me tell you, when I see the Knight of Pentacles in a reading, right away I'm happy. To me, this is your guardian angel energy. And remember, every knight has a mission. And this mission this knight has is to bring this pentacle in. And this pentacle is meant to enhance your life. It may start as a seed, but if you nurture that seed, then it'll only grow and blossom. Look at this 444, 444. Foundations. Could be partnerships. In the Ace or the Knight of Pentacles shows, it literally means it's coming into your physical world. It's tangible. And it's interesting because the page is holding a pentacle. And this page, to me, signifies a learning experience, what I've been learning along the way, what is really helping me now because I have learned it. And it's a page because I feel like the learning doesn't stop. Our souls want to continue to evolve. Now, we do have the Four of Cups. And that's interesting because we're doing love first. And in the Four of Cups, it speaks about discontentment, boredom in one's emotional world. It doesn't feel steady like the other fours. But the truth is with the Four of Cups is there is a cup coming in. And here it is. And it's like from the hand of divine. She's not noticing it because her focus is down here. And that may be what these other fours are about. Even this page, like, what did I learn? What am I healing? And I feel for some of you, it's your emotional house. And it kind of feels like I've been there already. So some of you, it's like, I feel like this is you coming out of that energy. However, now this Knight of Pentacles, I feel like, what is this Knight bringing in? A cup. But this means a cup that's coming into your physical world. And what I mean by that, it certainly can start as a communication, but I feel like it's someone we meet face to face, or will, you know what I mean? Will eventually. All right, let's keep going. We have your major arcana, temptation. But I want you to look at this image because we're talking about love right now. And we have the lovers. But we have the lovers being influenced by shadow. And this can be the feeling of being stuck or something like some type of energy that came between you and another. And I would have to say love. Both of them are naked. And, I have a feeling part of the lesson here was about being one's authentic self, no matter what. Like I shouldn't have to change my authentic self for another. And maybe that's what you learned. I don't feel like the lovers, because this is the lovers. I don't feel like this influence, because we can see through that. It's an illusionary energy. And if we allow ourselves, we can see through that. And it may just be calling like to be your authentic self. But is there someone, all of a sudden I'm feeling like for some of you, or maybe it's just one, I don't know, but I feel like, is there someone who already sees and appreciates your authentic self? Now, I do love that your major arcana comes under this healing. And what a great way to open the year. part of me wants to look up angel number 444, but I know it talks about, I feel like it probably talks about you're on the right path, but also, keep your foundation in mind. Anything you're building, you want to start it from a strong foundation. Even this pentacle that this knight brings in, it is a slow moving knight, but it moves with purpose. So this knight tells you, I come at the right time, not before, not after. And it's mirroring the healing card. So this healing, and have a feeling at your heart, but also your mind, feels like it was an important component to this pentacle actually coming in. Why? Well, that's why the knight says, I come at the right time. Because if I come before, you may not see the blessing as a blessing. If I come too late, you may say it's too late. I come at just the right time. And that you can trust in. Okay? Ten of Wands. Pushing that boulder up a hill. That's interesting. But I feel like this wants to come to an end. This speaks of a time of heavy responsibilities. But something is telling me this was your 2025 energy. And because I feel like the energy is getting lighter. But you're a big part of that. Like you're allowing yourself to heal at the same time. Like this person in the Four of Cups, if she just lifts her head, she'll see that cup and know or feel like it's from a guardian angel. So this could certainly relate to love of the past. And it may speak to you in a way of saying, did you have a tendency to, try to keep a relationship going by everything falling on your shoulders? And do you now know that that is not fair, that you deserve better? I feel like the answer is yes. If you look at this person, they're busting out of their clothes. So even though this is, again, an energy of either a lot of responsibility, or I often feel like this person is subconsciously wishing for a tower. But at the same time, the spiritual muscles that you've gained from that. So something was hard, but something in the same breath taught you well. And it may simply be like, I'm not willing to push that boulder up a hill. Not for nothing. I get the sense like I would push that boulder up a hill for you, but would you do that for me? If the answer is no, then there's your answer. Because I feel like some would say, absolutely I would. But this may be what's coming in. And I just want to say for some, because I am getting this message, there could be relationships that ended, let's say in 2025. And it's interesting because as I'm speaking about this, we get stand your ground. Stand your ground. But I'm kind of feeling the opposite. Like, it's fine to stand your ground, and you should stand your ground. But you also want to know, like, what am I standing my ground about? Is it getting me anywhere? Or is it just pulling me into, drama or anxiety. What did you learn from that? You learned how to put out fires. But I feel like you also learned that sometimes you put out one fire and another fire begins. And I feel like that is related to a situation, like a person. So, do I stand my ground? And in the Four of Pentacles, that can be resistant energy. But the Four of Cups is saying you're not really happy anyway. And I am not telling you not to stand your ground, but I feel like, let's say I just went through a separation, and now we have to deal with, the house and the things in the house and all that, and the things that we just don't want to let go of. But I'm talking material things. And you have every right to fight for your house or whatever it is. But what I feel is I have to know if it's worth it. Is it worth it? Or would it be better for me just to move on? And I'm not, again, telling you, like, just give someone the house. But there feels like there's a solution that doesn't have to go, let's say, to an angry place. We have the King of Cups. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Right? It's interesting because this king is holding a cup, and in the Four of Cups, this person's receiving a cup. But sitting right next to our guardian angel. And now we have the King of Cups. Oh my. And the Six of Cups. Nostalgia. Happy memories. Treasured memories. A time that I remember. A time where I felt happy, loved. I feel like, it's interesting. I don't know how many times I've said this lately, but this kind of feels like a spiritual setup, but in love. Because I feel like for some of you, it's interesting. I feel for some of you, you already know. There's already someone that you know that doesn't carry drama. Let's put that on the table right away. Has a loving heart. This person could be a friend or was a friend, from like back in the day type of energy. Six of Pentacles usually does mean that, like, back when I was younger, like back when I was a kid. I often feel, it to me, it feels like hometown energy. And there just may be someone. Well, there is someone who I feel like already has emotional feelings for you. But have they stated that? Have they had the chance? I don't think they've had the chance. Again, for some of you, you may have been in a relationship for a while. But I feel like there's someone who thinks about you. And I feel like they think about you often. I'm not going to say obsessively, but you do cross their mind like, oh, wonder what Capricorn's doing. Hmm. Let's look at the bottom of the deck. Justice. That makes sense. That makes sense. Justice. Cutting of ties. Can certainly also talk about karma. Karmic. But if it has anything to do with karma, especially because we have the Page of Pentacles here, who I feel like is on this learning path. And I may have been connected to someone, could have been like a karmic soulmate. And, what would the lesson be? I feel for some of you, sometimes the lessons aren't as difficult as we think they are. I'm not saying the energy is easy, but I feel like this was about your self-worth, because I feel the aggravation, I feel the drama, I feel the, maybe fighting over, why aren't you putting anything into this type of energy? And yet I also feel this other person who I don't feel like they know. For some reason, I don't feel like they may know that you're in a relationship. This could be like a social media thing, but they don't know that you're unhappy. You know, I mean, think about it. Like when I make a Facebook post, very seldom am I going to put like I'm sick of my boyfriend, blah blah blah. Some people do that. I don't like that. You know what I mean? But to each their own. But justice. There's power with justice. That sword of justice is really a gift. And learning to use it. You know what I mean? Like when things just don't feel right anymore, when something just can't work out, it's cutting those ties. Whether you're physically cutting ties with someone or it's energetic, I'm cutting these ties. And what happens? Well, with justice, it makes you whole again. It makes you whole again. All right, let's bring in the crystal, or I'm sorry, the Gilded Tarot. And let's go over this. And remember, in this part, this is love. And it's love. And we have love coming in through this cup, but also the Knight, who to me is the most trusted. I mean, I don't know why I always say that. I feel like you can trust all the Knights, but this Knight, I feel like is like a special guide. Like I associate this Knight with your guardian angel. And if your guardian angel is the one that's helping to usher in this cup, and here's this king holding this cup, it's almost like he's holding space for you. He or she, by the way. Like they're holding space for you. But I don't think you know it yet. Yet. All right, let's go over it. Page of Pentacles again. It's interesting because I was going to say this and then I didn't. But what I was thinking was the Page of Pentacles with the Four of Swords. What am I holding? Page of Pentacles. I often feel like when we're in this let's say, this healing time. This is the perfect time for our guides to help send us signs. Again, let's not forget you have the wheel, and that is your destiny. And let's not forget this is representing unlimited potential. This isn't limited, it's unlimited. I mean, you get to write the story. And I feel like while you were healing, you received some real epiphanies, clarity. And I feel like some of you looked at it like, okay, I was definitely meant to learn something from this. And everyone's going to have their own lesson. But in a way, I feel like, at least here, it does feel like something is definitely was over. And maybe it's just, the thought of change and, what I'd have to go through to start anew. But in the same breath, I feel like it will be worth it. It will be worth it. And change scares people sometimes so much that they stay in the uncomfortableness. That becomes comfortable to them. And I get it. I've done it myself. I think we all have. But this is just really pointing it out. Like, if you set your intentions, and what I feel like what this is saying is just be willing to go step by step. There doesn't feel like there's anything rushed. Doesn't feel like, this cup comes in and I gotta know or I gotta immediately accept it or not accept it. I feel like there's nothing wrong with letting someone woo you for a little while. And I have a feeling you may not be used to that. Look at this, the Four of Swords again. So, boy, I feel like you're mirroring you and someone else are mirroring each other.